which coach's seat has warmed up the most this season? Now, we both think that Shane Beamer is going to eventually be fired at South Carolina, correct?
Correct. And this is just in the SEC, right?
Yes, just in the SEC. Okay, so Shane Beamer has to be on the list. But I'll tell you what, there's another coach that it warmed up for. I'm not saying it's hot. I'm not even saying it's lukewarm, but it's way warmer than it was before the season. Last Look brought to you by Campbell, Cunningham, Taylor, and Hahn.
To visit cctis.com. The information you need is easy to access, and setting an appointment is as simple as clicking the tab. Doctors Campbell, Cunningham, Taylor, and Hahn, and Eye Care Optical at cctis.com. Simply the best.
It's your namesake. It's Kalen DeBoer. Not quite your namesake, but close. And I think, listen, if Florida stumbles, they had, it was the Malachi Moore kid who was acting like a bit of a jackwagon.
Yeah, lost his emotions.
Yeah,
I give him a break for that, though.
Okay. Well, he could lose that team with a loss to Vanderbilt. You also have a lot of players that have a championship ring already. And you have a lot of players that, such as was it Tyrone Prothro, who was talked into coming back because of NIL money. I think that team.
Not Tyrone Prothro. That's
excuse me. What's his name? The offensive lineman that left and came back.
Caden Proctor, was that it?
Yes, Caden Proctor. Yes, sorry, not Prothro. Prothro's still hurting, but
Mike Shula owes him a whole NFL career.
Yeah, so I think that seat's considerably warmer because it could potentially splinter that team. Losing to Vanderbilt, I don't think even Kalen DeBoer realizes what a big deal that is. Unless Vanderbilt goes on to win 6, 7, 8 games this year, which they're not going to do, that is a very significant loss. That's kind of like, I don't know if you've ever played Rook, where it's kind of like spades, but you have the Rook card. Have you ever played Rook?
I haven't, but I know Rook.
Okay, so you have the bird, and the bird, the Rook card, is able to trump all, okay? So you automatically win if you got the Rook. All right, this is the type of card that you throw down the Vanderbilt loss if 2 years from now they're waffling on Kalen DeBoer. You say that Dad blamed Vanderbilt game back in 2024. That's why I think the seat is warmed up. I don't think he's going to lose his job this year, but I don't think that a loss to Vanderbilt is just forgotten. He seemed to think after the game that it's no big deal. And Vanderbilt may prove to be a very respectable program. I would say that somebody's going to hire Clark Lee away before that happens. But that seat's not feeling as cozy and comfortable as it was 5 weeks ago.
All right, I'm going to defend Kalen DeBoer, but I'm going to tell you why I agree with you, because I think Kalen DeBoer understands better than what Alabama fans understand. And here's what I mean by that, Dave. We just talked about early in the show about the level of parity in college football. That makes you more vulnerable to upsets against teams like Vanderbilt. Is it fair to say than they ever were under Nick Saban?
Yes.
So that's out there. You are going to more and more often have 10-2 teams reach the college football playoff and even get first-round byes. But Dave, you and I both know Alabama fans won't be content with the first-round bye in the playoff if that first-round bye comes with a 10-2 record. Like, I think with Alabama, it is one quality loss a year is all the fan base will take. And they're not going to understand the changing landscape of college football that 10-2 and 9-3 is going to become more the norm than it is the outlier for national championship contenders. And I don't think Alabama fans get that. So that's the problem. So I think Kalen DeBoer's seat is warmer, but I don't know if it should be, because I think the level of parity in college football now makes Vanderbilt the exact type of game Nick Saban himself was capable of dropping back in the day.
Let me take this another step further. Because, again, we're not talking about coaches getting fired, but warmed up the most this season.
Well, yeah, because Billy Napier's went from hot to, like, insano.
Yeah, and I should have had Billy Napier on there, but I don't. But what about Lane Kiffin? There's extemporating circumstances at Alabama. There are same but different circumstances at Ole Miss, and that is it seems like he's flirted with every other job. So Yeah, it's.
I think Ole Miss is very self-aware of what they are and that they know they're lucky to have Lane Kiffin.
I agree, but at some point, if he were to turn in an 8-4, 7-5 season, there would be some people. I'm sick of him flirting with everybody, and I would just as soon him be gone.
There's a clear-cut answer to this question, Dave. By the way, and it's not Lane Kiffin or Kalen DeBoer.
Is it Hugh Freeze?
It's easily Hugh Freeze, and it pains me to say that because he's just a very well-known protector of women and underage women in particular. He really tries to make sure that older men don't prey on them. He's just such a good human being. It's so hard for me. It's such a good Christian man. I mean, Pastor Hugh tweets Bible verses. I mean, he coached at Liberty, which is just one of the greatest, finest Christian institutions out there. It just really hurts me to say that Hugh Freeze's seat is warm, because people in your face for Christianity like that are always they're always the finest individuals possible, just like the 2008 Florida team. Okay. And it's Hugh Freeze and Urban Meyer are just class act standards, and and Joe Paterno. But yes, it's Hugh Freeze. Hugh Freeze told everybody in the offseason, it's entering his second year, that he didn't need to go get a quarterback because he had one. And he knew, and he was making it, and he didn't say it out loud, but he was basically saying, doesn't matter who I have a quarterback. I'm the brains of this offense. I'll make the offense go if I get the weapons. Turns out you kind of needed a quarterback. And Auburn's 2-4 now. And it's not letting up. They still have Alabama down the road. They're playing at Alabama this year, so they're not going to win that game. That's a loss. They're visiting Missouri. They have a bye, but they're visiting Missouri in 2 weeks. They're visiting Kentucky, and they have Texas A&M. Dave, I got to be honest with you. I see 8 losses on this schedule. They're going to be underdogs in 4 more games. So if Vegas gets it right, Auburn's going to finish 4-8. That's not acceptable his second year at Auburn.
Okay, I'm going to do a much better job putting the poll question up because I've got 4 good ones now. Again, this is warmed up the most this season. So going from 0 degrees to 5 degrees is significant, which I think is about where Kalen DeBoer is. So which coach's seat has warmed up the most this season? Kalen DeBoer, Hugh Freeze, Shane Beamer, Billy Napier. We know that Beamer and Napier came into this with warm seats already. Napier seems to have gotten things going a little bit in the past couple of games. So if
I still think it's explodingly hot.
What?
I still think his seat is exploding hot.
I agree, but the question is warmed up the most this season. So given that, I would say Hugh Freeze, hands down. I don't even think it's close. I would say Shane Beamer.
I think it's Hugh
Billy.
Freeze.
I'd actually have Billy Napier, the way I phrase the question, is last on this. Which SEC's coaches seat has warmed up the most? I mean, it hasn't warmed up that significantly much. Florida is not a horrible football team. They're doing some bad stuff with their quarterbacks, but especially if Tennessee wins on Saturday, then we're having a much different conversation about Billy Napier and his future at Florida.
Yes, we are. Okay, Dave, he's not on this list and people are going to call me crazy. And again, we're talking of like from 0 to whatever. So with this coach, it's like -100 to like maybe -5 because like he should be the most stable coach in college football. But could we see Kirby Smart's seats a little bit hotter because of just all the discipline issues at Georgia?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Like if Georgia
starts called out the fans, that's another trump card. That's another rook. That is people. If at some point 2 or 3 years down the road, they're saying, should we keep Kirby? Should we not? I really didn't like it when he called me out because I'm paying $25,000 a year for 4 seats.
And you're right. And by the way, this was why Mark Richt was there for so long, right? Whatever you want to say about Mark Richt, he's probably one of the best people to be a head coach. And he was really good. He was just a good guy, good to the fans. Georgia never got in trouble. And that allowed him a lot of goodwill, didn't it? For a long time.
Certainly did.
Yeah. I think that Kirby Smart, if you're winning, if you get a couple titles, it's okay. But the minute things go a little south, man, this stuff will start to be used against you. And the best example I have that I can bring up is Larry Coker at Miami. Larry Coker won a national title, got cheated out of a second one, should have gone undefeated his first 2 years. And if it wasn't for a terrible pass interference call, he would have been. But the minute Miami went like 7-5 one year, all the talk of all the arrests and the discipline issues that people talk about with Miami.
But the difference is he didn't build that. I mean, the talent. I mean, he didn't build the talent. Butch Davis built the talent.
Well, the city of Miami built the talent, because I think that was at the time, that was the easiest place in the world to recruit, wasn't it?
Wait, just a second. Butch Davis texted me. He said, tell Butch Jones, thanks for ruining my name.